Yo, John Mitchell owes me money. I told him Embiid wasn't going to play. I told him he wasn't going to play.
Look,
we did. But we'll talk about that and how they lost to the Timberwolves next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thanksgiving, peeps. Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Keith Pompey, co-host of Locked On 76ers, right here with my man John Mitchell. John has a lot of knowledge. He knows a lot of stuff about sports, about basketball. I normally defer to him, but brother man thought Joel Embiid was going to play last night. He didn't. But you know what? They lost. I believe the score was 112-99. It was a tough one, Mitch. Tough one, Mitch.
Yeah.
But man, you know, I liked the way Tobias Harris played in the second quarter, right? I felt like that ignited the Sixers a little bit. Marcus Morris, you know, we had to get an APB out for him, looking to see where he was. Brother showed up and showed out yesterday. Tyrese Maxey, that was a game where you supposed to be the man.
Yeah,
you gotta be the man.
Yeah,
that was his worst performance of the season. Yeah, and the Sixers,
He had a hard time.
He had a hard time. And the Sixers, man, they shot the ball horribly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they shot the ball bad. Like, Melton went back into a shooting slump.
Mm-hmm.
Maxey didn't hit a three at all. I think Melton was 1 for 5 and Maxey was 0 for 5. I don't know, man. It was just a bad game. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was. First of all, I gotta give you kudos, man, because when I said we talked about Embiid playing yesterday, you were like, it's not happening, and it didn't happen. And you take him out of the lineup, and now you see the absence of another big man, and that was the lineup, the worst possible lineup, with Rudy Gobert and Cat Towns on the roster. That's the worst lineup possible for Joel not to be there, and also because he gets up to play against both of those guys, with Rudy Gobert getting that Defensive Player of the Year award, multiple, if I'm not mistaken, right? and Cat, we know their history, so it just had a trickle down effect, man. Without Joel in there and running into a team that I don't know about you, Keith, man, but I like watching that team play. I'm not gonna lie, man.
I do too. But you know what I keep thinking, and I'm sorry about the people who live in Minneapolis. I love Minneapolis. You got nice people. I have friends there. I mean, I really do. I'm seriously. I didn't go there this year, but when I typically go, it's really nice. I go out to dinner with people. We laugh.
It's a nice town.
It's a nice town, but you know what, bro? I couldn't live there. And I just can't, because the reason why is a beautiful town. I love going there in the summertime. I've been there twice in the summertime. The lakes, everything is nice, but bruh, it gets too cold. Too cold. Like, I'm talking about, that's the coldest place I've ever been in my life. Right? I mean, so cold, y'all, that your cell phone cuts off.
Yeah.
When you walk out. I mean, I'm telling you. You know how it is, Mitch.
I do, man. I do. Like you said, it's one of the most. You go there in the summer, in the spring, in the summertime. It's one of the most beautiful places because it's real green. But green. And that's why they have it's built some of those Midwestern cities, and you have to build that one where you can walk all throughout downtown from building to building because they connected them.
But so here's my question: when I look at that team,
that cold.
And I look at Ant-Man and I say, my man's from hot Atlanta, right? They call it hot Atlanta for a reason, right? You know what I mean? Whatever, right? And then you got Karl Anthony Towns. He's been there long enough. You got Rudy Gobert. I keep saying to myself, who else?
From France. They are from international, international cities.
And I keep saying to myself, how long are these brothers going to stay there?
Yeah.
Like, it's too cold to be there. Like, now, if they make it work, it can work. Like, you know what I mean? But that's typically a place where guys go, either they stay because they can't go elsewhere, or they try to get out. Yeah. So you look at that team, number one, look, they got the second best defense. They got the Twin Towers who are playing well together.
And they seem like they like each other.
They like each other right now. They have, although my man, when he got choked out, ain't nobody help him.
That's true.
Yeah. By Draymond. But then they got Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. Dude, you can argue that he's the best American player in the NBA right now.
Right now.
You can argue that. Now, again, you got LeBron, you got all these other guys. We talking about right now at this moment. Yeah. Like, he's not a Hall of Famer like LeBron, like KD and all that. But
he got the upside
right now,
But he's got ups, but he has it. They don't have his upside.
Oh, of course. But yeah, I'm talking about like today. You put them 1-on-1. You know what I mean? Like KD has the length and all that. But you think like most exciting American this season?
Yeah.
I mean, they like 30 and up. Like, I mean, people forget. Yeah. This is Tyrese Maxey's fourth year in the league. Right. This is his fourth year in the league. Right. You know what I mean? That's a young boy. Like, 23. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And we're talking about Tyrese, who's playing at an all-star level, although he's had his struggles lately, as him emerging. But that guy is like, hey, if I got an NBA 5-on-5 and I got some of the best players, he's getting picked.
Oh, no doubt, without a question.
Yeah, he's getting picked.
Without a question. But so, like, the thing, Mitch, is it's let's talk about since we're talking about Tyrese, let's talk about Tyrese, right? Mm-hmm. Maxey, he had that 50-point performance, and then it's kind of sort of been somewhat of a little bit of a struggle since that, right? When he had that 50-point performance, I'm just throwing it out there, and like, he had games where he had 50 points that game. He made 7 of 11 threes. Mm-hmm. He shot 20 for 32 since then. And I mean that game. But since then, he kind of like cooled off a little bit. Now he had numbers like 27, 20 points, 19, 20, 25, 30. Last night he had a season low 16, but it just seemed like he cooled off after that one game.
I think he has, man. I think and that's part of the growing process, even for a guy who we say is emerging, and clearly is emerging.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at his last 5 performances, I got him right here. He's 7 for 19 against Minnie. This is just 2-pointers. Overall, 11 for 28 against Cleveland, 8 for 20 against Brooklyn, 5 for 13 against Atlanta, and 6 for 15 against Boston. That's 37 for 95 over the last 5. It's 38% from the field. And, Tyrese is, I think, part of it is because he clearly has a green light. Nick Nurse has given him a green light. So, he's going to get that 11 for 28. He's going to have those nights when he can go off. But what you don't want him to do is to get, turn to, let's say, a volume shooter. Because he has shot, despite being just 6'2", he's always shot a decent field goal percentage, and you want to see him maintain that. So it just goes to show you, and I think you made a good point when we were talking offline, and about him needing to get 30.
Yeah, especially last night. When Joel Embiid doesn't play, he gotta take over.
Yeah,
it's nice to see Marcus Morris make shots, but Tyrese Maxey, he's one of the young up and coming guards players. He got to take over.
Yeah.
And he didn't. Like, I think that was a really disappointing loss, a disappointing performance by him, because it was his opportunity to lead, and they took him out of his game. I mean, they basically took him out of the game. He shot 7 for 19, 0 for 5 on threes. He was 2 for 4 on the foul line, which means that he wasn't really, attacking, getting to the cup the way he should have. There was one time where he went there and tried to, score on Karl Anthony Towns, who basically blocked his shot, so it wasn't a good performance by him. But I'll just say to you, when you talked about his 2-point shots, he shot over those last 5 games, he shot 36.6% on threes. Now, his assists to turnover ratio isn't all that bad, 7.2 to 1.8. Right.
We'll take that. We'll take that.
He played, 39.3 minutes in those last 5 games too. So, he's been playing well. I just had an issue with this one. Now, here's something else, Mitch, that you got to realize. He likes going, a certain direction. Other teams are trying to force that away. And on the defensive end, I noticed that a lot of guards are attacking him. They just going straight at him, right?
Yeah.
Now, he has 11 blocks this year, but a lot of that is kind of help stuff or whatever. But what they're doing is they're just going right at him. And that's part of a lot of teams' game plan. Like, we're going to go at this dude. We're going to score on this dude. And that's where they're attacking him. And they're also being physical with him. He's right now not at that stage of his career. It's going to get there, but he's so quick, so fast. Now guys are putting a body on him. They're bumping him. They're doing stuff, trying to be a little disruptive. But I just didn't like, what I saw last night, from him. I know he's a better player than that.
Yeah. And I just kind of felt, when you gave us that hint following the Cleveland game, that that Joel would probably be at home preparing for Thanksgiving, as opposed to making the trip to Minnesota. I think that I just felt, I said, just looking at this matchup, I said, they're going to need, if you can get a 40-point night out of Tyrese Maxey, this will be another one for us to continue talking about the building of his legacy as an emerging player. And he didn't have it yesterday. And that was a game where it's like, if you're going, that's part of carrying the mantle of stardom. We're not even approaching superstardom. When you start talking about carrying the mantle for stardom in the NBA, there's some moments when She's Gotta Have It was the movie. The Sixers Gotta Have It is the reality of 2023. They gotta have it from Tyrese, especially with Kelly Oubre out. I mean, I think Kelly Oubre's presence, had it been there last night, the floor would have been better spent, would have been better space. Got other people could have attacked. And Minnesota recognized that. And like you said, man, they that was his worst performance of the season thus far.
Yeah, and also another thing that the Sixers need, his worst performance of the season. But another thing that the Sixers need is a big man. The thing is, I understand. First of all, you going up against arguably the best front court in the NBA. Now, granted, Jaden McDaniels was hurt, this and that, right? But that provides the defense. So you go out there with Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, and Tobias Harris, right? And it looked like, it looked like before the game, Tobias and Marcus was doing rock, paper, scissors, like, yo, you got him, I got him, like one of those, right? Right. So the deal is, Marcus picks up 2 early fouls, had his best game of the season.
Yeah.
Tobias, had scored 9 of his 15 points in the second quarter. He was consistent, and that helped them when they came back. They was getting boat raced early.
Oh,
they came back.
Yeah.
And then Mark, so it was cool, but you look at it like, come on, man. You mean to tell me you got Mo Bamba sitting on the bench and he can't get burned?
Yeah.
And then, but the thing is, and again, I'm not looking at it as if I'm saying, Nick, what you doing? I'm looking at it like, Mo, what you doing?
You
know what I mean? That's you feel me?
Oh, I absolutely do.
Because really, when you have it, what we were told in the beginning was when they went out there and got the bigs, they wanted to have lineups where they have him and Embiid playing together.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Mo, and Mo is can shoot the three. He's a shot blocker. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where
coach don't trust him.
The games you gotta give the coach confidence to play you.
Yeah. And he's clearly not doing that, And like I said, we touched on it yesterday. This is why you were brought here. You weren't brought here just to be a practice body. I mean, the whole. Oftentimes when general managers go out and get these guys, they look at the combination of where this guy is at in his career, what the league believes is still his athletic potential, and hope that he can reach it. But now you got Nick Nurse looking to his right and saying, I'd rather have Mo Bamba's mama as opposed to having Mo Bamba on the roster right about now, man. And it's just like you got to, he's wasting an opportunity. I mean, he gets out there, and you got the Twin Towers. You know that Joel is not going to be there, but you, Mo Bamba, have not given the coaching staff any confidence. You can't, bro. It's time to stop sitting at the end of the bench and giggling. Those years are gone for you if you expect to remain in the league. And they could have used it. They could have. I mean, because the Sixers shot poorly, so it's like, okay, if you're going to shoot poorly, you prevent the other team from shooting well. And you can't even bring. This guy's a 7-footer with incredible wingspan that you can't put on the floor because the coach doesn't have confidence in you. So, as I've talked, the Sixers have never gotten that backup. It's been years since they've gotten the backup center position right.
Yeah. They had Andre Drummond, then they traded him to get James Harden.
Right.
I mean, but before that, the year before they had Drummond, they had Dwight Howard, which wasn't bad. That was another good one. But yeah, you are correct.
It's always momentary. It's always a momentary fix.
Yeah, exactly. A dude on the minimum.
Yeah.
A dude on the minimum, and that's what whatchamacallit is. Now, here's the thing, Paul Reed. I'm gonna give Paul Reed some props. Paul Reed was the backup center. He is the backup center. He played 26 minutes. He had 10 points. He shot 5 for 9. He had 9 rebounds. Paul had a game high 4 blocks and 2 steals.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Reed was balling, but the thing is, Paul Reed is 5'9", going up against those things. Now, Marcus Morris, Marcus Morris he had 6 points. He was 6 for 12. He was 3 for 5 on threes. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. And he played well considering he picked up 2 early fouls and had to go to the bench, right? So that was good. Now, but the problem is, see, this is the thing. When we talk about the Sixers, we talk about they got a slew of wings, right? A slew of wings. And the certain guys that you really like them, but you also know that they're not extremely consistent.
Right.
I mean, they just not and it's not a knock against them, but when they give you something, you like, oh, I like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last night, D House, a great defender. He had a game high or a team high 3 steals, but offensively he was 1 for 5 and he was 0 for 3 on threes, right?
Right.
Jaden Springer, you love his defensive presence. You love his grit. He had 1 steal. but offensively he was 0 for 4, 0 for 2 on threes, right? So then you look at, Robert Covington. He had 2 blocks. He had 5 points. He was 2 for 4. But then we look at the Sixers starting backcourt. We already talked about Maxey. But then you look at DeAnthony Melton, 1 for 5 on threes.
Yeah. We have to.
11. Huh?
You said DeAnthony Melton. That's a do we have to?
So like that's the problem. But then you look on the other end, and the guy that we talked about, who is I think the best American in the league right now, young dude.
Yeah.
He was giving them the business. He had 31 points, 11 to 22 shooting, and 5 for 9 on threes.
Yeah.
So, but then you got the bigs up there. Karl Anthony Towns giving the Sixers 23 and 11. Two blocks, 2 steals. I mean, I didn't know Karl Anthony Towns was a defensive player. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then you got Rudy Gobert just going through it, just being Mr. Consistent. He's 13 points, 3 blocks, and 11 rebounds, 3 assists. So it was like easy peasy for them. And
even that guy Shake Milton.
Shake, yeah.
The Sixers came off the Milton bench and gave him 12. So I think it just feeds into the fact that the Sixers got out to that 8-1 start. And don't get me wrong, they're still clearly a playoff team, and can get better. But I think the 76ers are one of those teams. Some teams like Boston and Milwaukee, when they don't have a full complement of players, key players, they can still be very effective. But I think when your key guy is a center and you still have a guy who most closely resembles a big man in the NBA, with the exception of Joker, who can do everything, and Giannis, the Sixers just become much smaller without Joel in the lineup. And they got clobbered on the boards. They were taking 3-pointers early, and when they take those 3-pointers early on, when there was if Joel's out there, there's maybe one more pass to be made in the lineup. That wasn't there. It was like, hey man, let me hoist this 27-footer and see what happens with it, and that turns into a fast break in the other way for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, it was kind of whatever. Yeah, they did whatever. I mean, they led by 21 points at one point. They did whatever. They had points in the paint, 58 to 44. Bench points, 33 to 30, right? Yeah. So you look at that and you say that's good, but then at the same time, it's kind of like, well, the game, don't get me wrong, they did come back, but then after a while, then they put the game away. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we might as well just rest people.
Yeah. But
the Sixers can't shoot 39.1% from the field and 21.9% and think they can beat a team.
Right.
Especially a team of this caliber. You just can't do that. You can't. You can't do that. And that was a tough one for them. But to me, what are some things moving forward that you need to see from this squad?
I need to see more consistency. I need to see continued consistency from Nick Batum, from Covington, from the guys they brought on. I need to see Marcus Morris. Kudos to him for I think you must have gotten in his ear and said, "Hey man, are you really from North Philly?" Or are you really from North Philly? And so he showed up and played yesterday.
Would you say he was playing like he was from Bala Kenwood?
I think he was from Marple Newtown or whatever.
Let me stop y'all before people like, hey, you hating on the neighborhoods. But look, can I cut you off? Off? So it's this dude. I don't mean to go left on this. But my cousin used to date this guy. They go to Penn State, right? They went to Penn State. And she dated this guy for years. And he from North Philly. He was like, yo, I'm from North. I'm from down north, right? He would get so mad at me because every time I saw him, I called him Bala Kenwood Bull. Like, yo, what up, Bala Kenwood Bull? Yo, I'm from North. I'm from North. And like, and the thing is, it was kind of like he never like got it that like, dog, I'm just messing with you. Like you trying to act like you Philly. And then you like, look at you, man. You moved to South Jersey. You soft. I'm like, dog, I just want my daughter to get a good education, bro. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing.
You're the original Sean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
bro,
but he would get so mad because, you know, he like North Philly through and through. Nah, homie, no. I'm like, but where you go to high school, bro? Like, you talking like, did you go to Gretsch? You go to Dobbins? Nah, I went to Parkway. Well, then, nah, bro, you know, like, yeah. Huh? He ain't go to He didn't go to Bend. He didn't go to but you couldn't tell my man that he wasn't the hardest thing walking the streets. And he would get mad. And get mad like, yo, bro, you from North. You from down North. Why you go to Penn State? Why you ain't go to Temple?
Right.
You scared? Like, you know, it was so funny. He would
I had to get away from Broad Street.
I like, oh, it's tough on Diamond Street, huh, bro? Sister Lee Moore, like, you know. But nah, I used to kill him. But he used to get mad. But nah, yeah, you know, but yeah, he had a North Philly type game yesterday. I mean, you know what? The one thing we can say about Marcus Morris is maybe we did get him hyped. I doubt it. But I think that probably he got more playing time. Mm-hmm. That was his 8th game. He's getting in better shape, getting conditioned. I think at the end that was a positive thing for him because you could realize he's not a cookie cutter dude. Before they had him cutting, doing all this other stuff, that's just not his game, right? So I feel like hitting those threes were pretty big for him. He also showed some physicality, you know, going up against guys. Now, again, we ain't going to deny that they lost, and it wasn't a game. Like, it was close for a second, but for the most part, they lost. But I felt like his play was a positive that came out there, and I feel like he makes them deeper. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, again, is he going to play these as many minutes? No. He probably won't. But I kind of like what I saw. I like what I saw. He didn't look like the Bala Kenwood boy at all. He didn't look like my man, Bala Kenwood.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, getting back to your initial question, I want to see those guys contribute, man. I know they're veterans and they're deep into their 30s. Yeah. But I mean, it's I don't know who could have coached the 76ers could have coached the win out of them last night. That was you hear guys talk about a schedule loss. That's a schedule loss right there. You know, and that's just the way the NBA is. There's no other way around it. It's going to be interesting. I am looking forward to seeing, you know, Joel come back against Chet Holmgren because I'm a Chet Holmgren fan, man. Against the Thunder.
Yeah. Say it again. Yeah. I expect him to come back. Then I expect him to. I think he has to. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if not, then we got major problems. If he misses that game too, then it's like, okay, what's really wrong with you? Like, it's more than sore. Like, because if you think about it, Joel played. He played on Tuesday, so he had off like on Wednesday. Nobody's doing anything today, right? So that's 2 days off. They're probably going to have a light practice on Friday, right? And then they play Saturday, right? So if he misses this game, then something is really wrong with him. Yeah. Like, to me, I get I get the soreness thing, and I get that Joel is always listed on the injury report, but I also think that is also something that they do to protect themselves, because if you don't list him on the injury report and he doesn't play, then you're getting fined, right? And then also most of these players, Mitchell, you know, you covered the league longer than I have. Most of these dudes got some type of ailment on them. And this was basically a rest day.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
It was a rest day. The day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It was.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was a rest day.
There was a brief meeting somewhere, probably over the weekend. It says which day is he getting in between the powers that be, where it was conversation was which day is he going to be off on.
Exactly, and you ain't going to take off. You're not going to take. You can't take off in the play-in game or in season tournament game.
Right.
You can't take off on those national TV games now. And it just so happens, like, yo, they looked at it like, yo, you mean to tell me we got to play X amount of games in such and such days? Like they had an idea. Like it would have been nice if they would have won, but they had an idea that it was going to be a tough game. It was going to be a tough one. Yeah, and that's what it was. That's exactly what it was, man. That's what it was. But
it's a shame that you really have to look at two games and can't see them as equal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, and that's the only thing I don't like about the NBA season. It's so long to whereas you look at it and you see people and you're saying like, wow, this team is good. And then all of a sudden, they're not playing. Why?
Right.
Because they're load management, right? I mean, to me, that's a problem. The one thing I will say, Mitch, though, if you look at it, the Sixers slid to second. Well, you can look at it too. You can say the Sixers are in fifth place, or the Sixers are in like a four-way tie for second, right? Like with that 10-5 record. Now the Sixers lost 4 of their last 6 games, though.
Yeah.
So they're not trending the way that you think they should be.
Right.
I mean, is that concerning to you?
Not really, because like you said, lots of times they look at these games and 4 or 5 game stretches. They're coming off of that 8-game stretch, the 8-game win streak, which is a bonus. Are they trending in the opposite direction? Currently, they are. But I don't feel a need to wave a red flag right now. I think they can get on track. I think they can. I think they'll get right back on track. They're not going to be 8 games struggle, win 8 games in a row, struggle, win 7 games in a row, struggle. I think that we'll see more of a team playing above 500 in that 600 range in most games, for the rest of the season. But again, I think that the most concerning thing is, you want your guy Maxey, who you're going to give a lot of money to very soon. You want to see that guy. The sooner he steps into his role, saying, "Hey, I gotta perform the 12 labors of Hercules tonight and carry this team," you want to see that happen sooner rather than later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Hey, I will pinpoint this now. The Sixers have dropped to 3-5 against teams that currently have winning records. Right? 3-5. So when you look at it, so they beat and is actually one of those wins. It's kind of like an asterisk. And the reason why I'm saying that is they beat the 3 wins came against the Boston Celtics. The first time they played them. And then the Indiana Pacers, the first time they played them, and the Celtics came back and beat them, and so did the Pacers in the second time. And they beat the Phoenix Suns. Now, when they beat the Phoenix Suns, that was a game where, Phoenix has the big 3. But 2 of the big 3 didn't play. It was Kevin Durant and a bunch of role players. And now, but what they also have is Devin Booker, and they have Bradley Beal. So to me, you can look at that two different ways. You can say, well, they didn't beat nobody, right?
Yeah.
You can say that. Yeah. But you can also say that the good thing is like able to they beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. Right. You know what I mean? They did that. And then, right now, some of those games, they're undermanned. Now, the thing about it is, some teams are undermanned too.
Yeah.
Right? They played. So it is what it is. So it balances out. And I hate using that as an excuse. Like I'm looking at TV last night and the whole 9. I mean, dude, every other 5 minutes, we're getting a reminder that Joel Embiid ain't playing. Right? But how many times did people say, Did they say Donovan Mitchell didn't play the night before?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Did they say that when they beat Phoenix, 2 of their players didn't play? So like I hate when I hear that. Huh?
And Jaylen Brown missed the Boston win, didn't he?
That's the game when Boston beat them. Yeah, they played without Porzingis in Boston. Right.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. So like you're looking at that. So yeah, it's one of those things. We'll see. I mean, the Sixers got things to work through. Like you said, the Maxey situation. They still gotta get consistency from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see. I mean, this OKC game, we'll talk about that more tomorrow, but that's going to be a huge test for the Sixers and this and that, right? But let me talk about Locked On, right? Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7 coverage of the top sports stories of the day with the local experts on Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Mitch, I checked it out. It's pretty good. I really like it. I think that people need to go to it. It's funny how things are changing and evolving with all these YouTube channels. Matter of fact, you're a brother that likes YouTube too.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
Yeah, this is something that's really good. Mitch, I want to wish you and your fam a happy Thanksgiving, bro. You got a lot to be thankful for. And we would love to wish all of y'all a happy Thanksgiving as well, right? Even though Mitchell's squad going to lose to West Philly today, it's all
we might lose 5-3.
Well, at least your school's still around. My school is no longer here. So
let's go Panthers.
Let's go Panthers, huh? Oh yeah, I hope. It's funny. They used to always play Penn State this day. They would either play them. No, it wasn't on this day. They would always play them on Friday. That used to be the end of the season, the big game, the last regular season game. And sometimes people would stay up. And I did that one time, stayed at Pitt for over Thanksgiving break. Mm-hmm. I will never do that again, dude, because it was like a deserted island.
Yeah.
And then the game, but Friday, everybody comes back for the game. And then like one of my friends was like, dude, why didn't you just go to your aunt's house?
Right.
And they had a turkey and then drive up the next day. I was like, yeah, that was smart.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, right?
There's not much to do in Pittsburgh if you're not from there and don't have people there.
Nah, dude, it was like, whoa. I mean, like the cafeteria was closed. Like it was like a deserted island. Then Friday, you get up and everybody was there, and people were like, "Yo, how was it? How was this week?" It was okay. It was okay. You're like fronting.
I made a bad call.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. But look, y'all, thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. When you go to the YouTube channel, make sure you click on that Liberty Bell. What it does is you become a new subscriber. In addition, that you get notifications when we have new podcasts, right? Locked On 76ers is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We want to thank y'all again for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a blessed day and peace.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy your families.